Hi guys, it's me Alex again, and we have our Monday talk. Today we have a very tricky subject. It's kind of something both of sides needs to work on, dispatchers and drivers. So let's see, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, we're going to be talking about how to avoid toxic relationships between dispatchers and drivers. And most of you who have been on both sides, because today we're going to have two guests. Both of them went through my classes. Both of them were professional truck drivers. And now one of them already working as a dispatcher and one in them making to become a dispatcher. He's still in my class, but he has a very big experience working for the mega carrier. And we're going to ask some questions. And hopefully, guys, we can figure out how to make this relationship more healthy, not toxic, because we need to understand that dispatchers and drivers, we are the team. We are on the same side. We have to pick up, deliver the cargo. We have to give the updates to brokers. We need to make sure we make profit for ourselves, for company. We need to make sure that we stay safe on the road. But it gets tricky sometimes because, as many of you know, it gets stressful. We all human beings. We have stress going on being on the road as a drivers because we still have to take care of our families. Then we have to go through traffic, through weather. Then we have broker who lies to us. Then we have dispatcher who maybe did not do his responsibility. People get pissed, people get aggravated, and people stop communicating. That's what I call toxic relationships. So let's go one by one and see how can we improve this. And I will be sharing some stories with you as much as I can from my own experience and challenges that I had when I started and challenges I still have every day since I'm still dispatching trucks. I have company drivers. I have owner operators. I also dispatch as independent dispatcher. So now I am looking at three different views. I am still a dispatcher, but I have challenges. Let's start from the beginning. Well, let's all recognize the transportation industry does not rely just on the truck drivers. Yes, they need to move the freight, but they're not the only one responsible for getting those goods safely from one point to another, right? Without trucking dispatchers, without somebody who is negotiating the loads, without somebody who is connecting them, it would be kind of impossible for drivers to keep going. So we have different duties and responsibilities, right? Let's talk about dispatcher skills and qualifications first. Well, as I tell you in my class, you need to have excellent communication skills because you will need to collaborate under pressure under different conditions. You're going to be in the middle between brokers, drivers, management, safety personnel. You're going to be dealing directly sometimes with shippers and receivers, making appointments, moving them, giving updates to tracking departments for the brokers. So dispatchers are always in the middle. So excellent communication skills is a must. Well, then you have to be really organized, right? You're talking about the load. Well, you need to write down who's the guy, what is his name, how can you reach him back? You need to make sure you put that load in a system. You need to make sure to dispatch your driver. You need to make sure you pay attention to the pickup, delivery times. You have to be organized and you have to do it fast. That's why in my class, we do those real setups, right? Because it takes time to get fast, even with the links. 1, 2, 3 done, 1, 2, 3 done, but it takes time. So you have to be organized and you have to love doing it. Well, what else? Well, you need to make sure that you're okay with computers. And here again, remember we were watching TMS, software engineers. Well, we don't have to be on that level, right? We don't have to create some programs or apps. No, but we have to be able to log in to make sure that we can check on HOS and ELD. We need to make sure we can sign paperwork. We need to make sure we can create that setup packet, right? So some minimal computer skills, of course, are required. Using load boards, right? Using them productively, using them fast enough. Well, that's some computer skills, but do you have to be software engineer? No. Is it possible to do? Yes, it is. A little bit of practice, like right now in my classes, everybody's practicing how to use that, right? So not a big deal. You can learn how to do this. I have a lot of phone calls, people asking me, well, I'm not that good with computers. Can I become a dispatcher? Yes, you can become a dispatcher. What else? Ability multitasking. Well, look at me now. I'm talking to the camera. I'm sharing the screen, right? Probably checking if my driver is delivered. Multitasking, answering the phone, checking update, looking on HOS of other driver, making sure I pre-plan. Multitasking is the biggest skill dispatcher must to have. Well, can you improve your multitasking? Yes, of course you can improve. You just need to know what you have to do first. Okay. What else? Ability to work under the stress and remain calm. Calm, calm, calm. Well, I think it's going to be the hardest part of this process. Not to lose your cool, right? That's what my kid says. Nah, mom, don't lose your cool. Stay cool. Well, sometimes it's hard to stay cool when you have drivers who are not answering their phones, when you have brokers who lied to you about weight or maybe did not disclose the commodity correctly. It's not that easy, but that's what it makes us professionals. We still have to remain our kind of cool, make sure that we're still respectful, and it's not that easy. Well, do you have that ability to work under the stress? Most of you guys working under the stress every day. Special for women who come to this business. Yes, you work under the stress every day. Managing your household, kids, husbands, work, all other activities you do. Girls, we are multitasking every day. That's why, again, guys, that's why women in business are better in dispatching, especially in dispatching. I'm just making a joke because my guys are always saying that I'm picking on them. Well, ability to relay information. Well, you can text driver, right? But also sometimes we need to give that personal touch to the driver to explain. We are all on different level. Sometimes we even have English as a second language. Sometimes, yes, you will have to spend more time to some drivers in explaining and maybe giving them instructions. So, ability to relay information correctly. Well, that's one of the skills and requirements which dispatcher needs. Well, let's go to the second part. What are the duties and responsibility of the dispatchers? So now you got all those cool skills. You are ready to go. You went through my classes. What are you going to do every day? Well, first, you will be monitoring HOS, right? You will be making sure that the loads you book can be delivered and pick up legally. Because number one responsibility of the driver and dispatchers to make sure that everybody is safe on the road, right? So it's not about negotiating the best load. It's not about picking up on time and delivering on time. Yes, it's important, but guys, remember, number one responsibility of dispatchers and drivers to make sure that everybody stays safe on the road. What else do we have to do? Well, we have to make sure that we keep tabs on the weather, on market changes, right? We need to coordinate loads. We need to make sure we deal with all the issues, maybe breakdowns. Maybe we need to help drivers with direction. Well, we need to manage the transit, right? When we book in the loads, we need to have all those skills and making sure that we are booking a load that is possible to deliver. After that, we have lots of other duties. We have to update brokers. We need to keep up with the paperwork. We need to sign rain confirmations. We need to double check on them. When we have detentions, layover, when we have lumpers, when we have driver assist, well, we need to negotiate that. We need to get revised rate confirmation after we deliver load. We need to make sure we build relationship with the broker by doing what? By giving them paperwork saying, well, here you go, load was delivered. BOL is attached. It's clean. It's no OS&Ds, overage, shortage, damage. So this is a part of what we do as a dispatcher, paperwork. Well, let's talk about truck driver responsibilities. Well, first, they need to make sure that they drive long distance and they pick up and deliver loads, right? They load, unload cargo. They need to make sure that they refuel the vehicles, that they have clean vehicles, and also they need to report to dispatcher ASAP if they are involved in accident, if maybe it's traffic, maybe the weather condition, because guys, we're not with you in the truck. Yes, I can watch the weather channel and it looks sunny and good somewhere in Nebraska, but 2 hours later, maybe it's a storm there, which I am already out of my shift. Do you need to notify your dispatchers? Yes, you do. Well, they need to make sure that they take care of all the mechanical problems. They need to make sure they have preventive maintenance done. They need to make sure that they have positive attitude with customers. Do you think it's easy to work with driver who has not a positive attitude? He goes to check in. Oh, here you go. You know, not hi, not bye, not thank you, not please. And then they don't unload him, right? So he acts like not a good person. I'm not going to call names, but he did not have a positive attitude. And then after hour 2, he's calling and complaining to me, wow, they don't unload you. And most of the time, I call shippers and receivers. And ladies as check-in say, you know what? Next time, tell your drivers to be more friendly. And here, I cannot stress enough, guys. Please, we are the team. You are the face of our company. I understand you driving. I understand you tired, but you representing us, the carrier. Let's say it's Alex Transportation. When you go check in, well, I would love you to say, hi, how are you? I am here for appointment. Thank you. Have a good day. How's your day? I would appreciate if you can check me in. This makes our life so much easier, guys. Because when you come there with effort and with attitude, and then you want me to call and start talking and be sweet to them, usually doesn't work. Although I do that anyway, because I need to make sure you get unloaded. Well, what else? What are requirements for the drivers? Well, for the requirements for the drivers are simple, right? They need to have a Class CDA commercial driver license. If they have current TWIC card, it's going to be very helpful. With ports, airports, it's going to be way easier to book the better load. They need to make sure they pass drug and alcohol test. They better have a good driving record because it's going to affect our insurance. And also they need to have the MVR and the high school diploma. This is the requirements to become a CDL driver. Well, we have a few questions, but we're going to start answering them after I introduce you, my drivers. And I see that Kevin has a hard time connecting. Hopefully he's going to figure it out. But in 30 seconds, I am going to bring our guest, Ryan, and we're going to see the real stories from him being a professional driver before going through our classes and now being a dispatcher. Did his opinion and views change? And then we're going to talk about some subjects which we have all the time. So we will be back in 30 seconds and let's see our next class. Wow, hi Ryan. How are you? Let me remove our PDF. So please introduce yourself. Tell us your story. how long you've been a driver, what make you to decide to come to our classes, learn how to dispatch, how easy it was to get the first job, and what challenges do you have right now. But we're gonna go in details for different challenges. So let's hear your story.
Sure. So my name is Ryan, and I used to be a truck driver for OTR for 2 years all over the States. And over time, I felt like I already traveled enough and seen enough, and I started thinking seriously about opening my own company. But I want to know the other side of this business from like the office side. So I want to learn all the regulations, how it works, so I can be good at negotiating rates. But I had no idea how this all looks, and that's how I found Alex Dispatch Training Center. And now I'm working as a dispatcher and benefiting so much from from all the knowledge. And yeah, I mean.
Okay, let's see a few questions. Okay, let's see from Tamara. So she's telling me, what do you do when the broker lies? It happens to me twice last week. Well, so let's think about it. Remember, you used to be a driver, right? So I booked a load for you, and let's say something was not correct. On a rate confirmation on the phone, they told me it's going to be 25,000, right? You go to get loaded and it's 44,000. Did you used to get pissed at a dispatcher? Just be honest, please. We want to see honestly. Did you used to get pissed at the dispatcher saying, well, Alex, you told me it's going to be 29,000. Now it's 44,000. Why did you lie to me?
Yeah. Or yeah, exactly. Or like, you told me the load is ready and I got here and they said the load is not ready. I wouldn't have to rush so much. I could still like put my lunch at the track stop. And it used to be frustration, and just because I didn't know better. I didn't know.
But whose fault was that all the time?
I always thought it's dispatcher's fault. Always
blame dispatcher. So now you are dispatcher. So now answer this from the dispatcher's point of view. Now I am the driver. Ryan, you booked me load today. Well,
yeah, if it's a truckload, the broker, basically the client, is paying for the whole trailer. So they can say there is just half the trailer full of pallets and the half is going to be empty, but it can be the whole trailer, and we don't know at the end until the driver gets to the shipper and how they're going to load him. Sometimes we book a trailer, client pays for the whole trailer, and there's like 2 pallets only on it. So,
yeah, because they want dedicated run. So in that case, exactly. Did you ever thank your dispatcher and say, wow, Alex, you awesome. You told me 40,000 and I have just 2 pallets. Do you remember saying that? Or it was always opposite? Every time when it was different way, then you would be kind of pissed.
Right.
Okay, yeah, but now tell me this. Can we control this 100%? I mean, I've been doing it for way longer than you. You just started doing it. Do you understand that a lot of times they are not giving us truthful information? Is it fair? No, it's not fair. Can we predict this as a dispatchers?
No. I can say this. We can actually, over time, we can improve it as we go with it, with experience. Like I know, for example, I can contact the shipper once I get my rate con and call ahead of time and check if the load is ready. So that I can make my driver's life easier, and I can let the driver know that I did that. So that helps build that connection and that trust between me and driver. Once that trust, I'll say the trust is established, it's so much easier.
Okay. Let's see this question from Kiprian. How you manage to communicate with very stubborn drivers? So Ryan, tell me honestly. Have you been a stubborn driver, or you were okay driver, or you were always easygoing guy?
I was always very easygoing until they pushed my buttons once or twice. And
how they push your buttons? Like with what?
Oh, they would not tell me that driver assist. I wasn't asked to unload the trailer, for example, so I would not be. I should be paid for it. So of course, first of all, they should They should ask me if I can, if I have like any, let's say sometimes you have some health issues, you cannot assist. Mm-hmm. And that should be discussed with the driver, of course. So, yeah.
But again, now you are dispatcher, probably you did not cross it yet. You will have loads where you will ask directly, no driver assist. You will have rate confirmation say no driver assist. Your driver gets, and they're going to say, well, you have to assist. We agree with the broker. So now take it up with the broker. And the broker going to tell you, well, we didn't really know that. Probably they did know that, but they knew if they would tell you that their driver has to assist, probably you would not book that load, right? Because not that many drivers, after they driving for 11 hours, after they already tired, they're not going to be really unloading. It's not their job, right?
Right. And if I could add, sometimes you can call the driver and ask them if they would be willing to assist with, and with extra money. And I can also contact the broker and ask him, explain the situation. I mean, there's always room for negotiations, even at that time where the driver, I remember when I was a driver in Portland somewhere, I wasn't told in some high school that I have to unload like half the truck. And I was negotiating. I was negotiating with my dispatcher. I told him I'm not going to touch the load until I'm being paid for it. And I was paid for it eventually, but it took it took times and there is definitely dispatch needs to.
There's definitely tension there because you demanding this, and I'm trying to get you that, but the broker is not really paying. So that's tension. That's when the toxic relationship. But still, I understand your demand. I am relaying that to the broker, and I can do as much as possible. But sometimes it's not possible to meet your demands because you might demand me $400 and they're telling me, well, the most we're going to give $150. And then me as a dispatcher, well, thankfully, I had this situation happen all the time. Being a woman was easier, right? Because if I would be your dispatcher, I say, Ryan, please, I understand. Just please, they are paying $150, right? And probably you would still unload, right? But now you're the guy. You're going to do and ask the other guy, oh, please, Kevin. No, you're not going to do that, right? So this is already getting tension there. So it's not fair. Nobody has said that it's fair. And that's as a dispatcher, now you have to explain to your driver, well, I'll do my best. I am negotiating. But in the end of the day, can we waste 5-6 hours sitting and not unloading? Or maybe we need to start, if you cannot really unload, what now as a dispatcher you need to do? Don't you need to find out with a shipper or receiver who is their lumper service and start negotiating with them or explaining to them, well, that's not what we contracted. Try to help, right? The situation. Yes. Yeah. Okay. What we have here. So what happened with me a couple of times, I negotiated rate with broker, got my rate confirmation, but then when 2 hours left until the PU broker said customer cancels the load, sorry, twice with the same broker. What are we talking here about, Ryan? Truck order not used, right?
Yeah.
So, but when it left 2 hours until the pickup, so again, driver is pissed, right? Because he knew that he's going picking up the load. Now you a dispatcher, right? Well, what can you do? The only thing you can do, you can start looking for next load, right? You're going to try and get truck order not used for him later. But can this frustration ruin both of your days? In the end of the day, you as a driver, me as a dispatcher, me as a driver, now you as a dispatcher, we need to understand that we have to keep rolling, right? So what would you suggest in this case? Like, well, if it happened twice, what are you going to do? If it happened twice with the same broker, unfortunately, I am not ever going to give this guy a third chance.
Put the broker on the blacklist, like you said.
Exactly, blacklist. You know, they have a blacklist on us. I have blacklist on the brokers. So once, maybe it's a given. Second time, this is already no. But I would never go in. So
yeah, and if your company, and if you're like just to answer this question, if it's a company driver, you just let the driver know, like, stand by, and you look for another load. You don't have to spend time explaining. But if it's an owner operator, you can just like say, just be honest, be like, hey, we just got this load canceled. If he gets mad, just explain, like, it's just industry. It happens every day to everyone, and I'm looking for another load. That's it.
Okay. So let's look at this. How important it is to have paperwork collected right way, right? Ooh, I don't know why is it making that. Okay. Documentation, right? So in our case, let's hide this comment. We as a dispatchers, well, first we negotiate the load, right? We have the rate confirmation. Then we relay the information to our drivers now, right? Pickup, BOL, time, delivery. Well, they deliver the load. How important it is now for you as a dispatcher to have that paperwork right there before he leaves to the next load. How do you understand importance to look at BOL and see if there are any shortage, any driver, any damage, any rejection before he leaves? Is there important to have all the pages? Is that important to ask, did you pay any lumper? Did we had to pay any pallet exchange, any rewashing? Is that important to do as a dispatcher?
It's just as important as getting that rate con or that, first paperwork, because you're not getting paid without it, or is all the issues that comes after. If, a skid is missing, you didn't notice on the POD, you just send it out and you move on to another task. And then after that, you have like an avalanche of issues and problems and rescheduling.
Okay. But let's go back to you being a driver. Have you ever gave a hard time to dispatcher when they ask you, Ryan, I need all 7 pages of bill of lading. I really need that receipt right now. Ryan, you cannot keep driving. Can you? And you would say, no, not now. Would you, just be honest, at least once or twice or 3 times, did you give the dispatcher a hard time?
Yes. And just if I can elaborate quickly, and mostly because, like I say, lack of knowledge. And yeah, I would, at the beginning, I would just follow and scan every page or take a picture of it. But over time, I felt like, oh, I'm such a good driver. I'm a pro driver now. Like, I don't need to scan every page. It's enough if they just see like
the last page, right?
The signature page, and that's it. Yeah. But in case of like missing skids and something has to be more verified, like, and that page is missing, like, they don't care. They want every page, even if there is like no signature on it. So
do we have now the switch now when you're on this side? So do you understand how important it is, right? I just received an email from my factory and we are missing few pages, and I just had 1 page. It says 101. So I need to go and look through my originals and probably it's missed somewhere. But how important is this? Well, the factory pays you right away, but then they're going to take money back. They're going to short pay you for missing all the things. But again, was there ever attention, right? So if I'm asking you once, if I'm asking you 3 times, because brokers, if I want to build a good relationship, I need to send them all the BOLs right away. That's first time. Secondary, I want to make sure they close that load in their system so my factory can verify, right? And third of all, I want to have proof that we notify them within 24, 48 hours, because now, while you're reading the rate confirmation, Ryan, what do you see? PODs must be received within 24 to 48 hours after delivery in order to do what? To not be short pay. $50, $100, $150.
Yeah, $200. My
last $200 sometimes, right?
Yeah, the load I booked today actually was like that. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So now, as advice, can you tell as a driver to other drivers and now dispatchers that should not be an issue, right? That's just a part of us dispatcher doing our job. And then drivers also making sure that paperwork, right? That paperwork is submitted for billing, submitted for brokers, for our factory. So issue, can it become a toxic relationship after a while?
Very quickly.
Very quickly, right? So you're asking once, you're asking twice, 3 times, and then what's going to happen? Then he's just going to start ignoring, right? Well, what we do, dispatchers, we communicating with drivers and customers, right? So we need to make sure that they understand that we sometimes are not really having power over commodity, over how load is going to be loaded, right? How fast is it going to be prepared? How many times Do you go for appointment and it's not ready? Lots of times, right? Yes? So,
oh yeah, enough of this.
okay. So now, let me ask you this. Is it easy position now because you were the driver? So you were outside, dispatcher was in the middle, then you had broker. Now you have broker, shipper, receiver. You have your management, right? You have your accounting and you have driver. How challenging is that? What is the biggest challenge for you now to be in the middle? Like, tell me, because you brand new, you know? You are brand new. I can handle it better just because I've been doing it for a long time. When I came, I was also kind of in shock that we have to do all these things and we have to respond to this guy, to this guys, to this, and still manage and still negotiate the best paying load. What is the biggest challenges for you as a new dispatcher to be in the middle?
Well, sometimes like I think I have to learn like what's my task, what's not my task, because I would just try to help with everything. So like my accounting would be like, oh, this is my job, or like the safety department would be like, we got this, like, just tell the driver to call us, or like the mechanic, because I was like trying to find a shop for the driver, like to find him like, when he got a flat tire. And yeah, you're just like connecting, you're connecting everybody basically.
Okay, but sometimes you get that aggravation from all the sides, right?
Oh,
Driver is pissed because something happened to his truck, maybe. Then the broker is pissed because you are late with his load. Then your accountant is telling you, well, this guy never sent the BOL and it's your load, right? Then you have your owner of the company saying, well, Ryan, the rates went down. I still want that $5 per mile, right? From Chicago to Atlanta, right? Ryan, you promised me that. Then you have your own issues at home, right? I don't know, like, for us, we have kids, family, girlfriends, husbands, your dog, right? You come home late, you're tired, your dog is not happy because you don't have energy to go play with him. So we're just humans, right? So sometimes we just need a break as a humans, right? And I would love to share this. Look at this. This is like, most of you've seen it on so many websites, that look you give when dispatchers ask you for a favor, right? But guys, you have to understand that we are caught in between the driver, the customer, and we are trying to keep everybody happy, right? And sometimes we just don't have the power. We don't have that magical wand to make sure, well, this load is ready. Well, the HOS is changed. Well, it's no traffic. Well, the market is up, right? I mean, I would love to have the magic wand, right? It would be so easy, right? But sometimes we do need that teamwork, right? Well, let's give the examples. What do we really need from the driver, right? Some favors we ask them. Like, what do you ask your drivers? For me, for example, you took my classes and I tell you this. My driver's already trained and it's not even a favor. This is a rule in my company. Picture, before you close your door, I want to see that how you secure your load, right? When you put the seal, I want a picture of the seal. When you open and there any shift, I want the pictures. Bill of lading has to be sent right away. If you check in for appointment and you have strict appointment, if they are not giving you doc within 45 minutes, my rule is they have to text me, Alex, doc 47 still did not start, still have the red light, or I don't have a doc. After hour and a half, they need to call and put themselves on detention and also tell me, right? So they have to help me. And some people say, well, it's not that easy to work with you, Alex, but I came to these rules not because I'm that strict, because I have so many other things to worry about that I need help. So what you would suggest? What do you think you would ask the driver as a favor, kind of, or maybe putting this as their responsibility to make sure that that teamwork is better? That
I would say, Alex, you as a business owner, I like your, strategy In my case, when I actually come into the company where it already has drivers and dispatchers, and I'm just like, trying to jump into that like rhythm of everything, they already have different ways. The drivers, there's like, sometimes there's more chaotic ways. Different drivers, they're not told to take pictures. Some drivers, they never even verify the load. And it's so much mess. I just work literally with one driver at the time, like you're working with, one dispatcher at the time to change the dispatching community. Same with drivers, like one driver at the time. Sometimes they just call and I just listen. I don't talk, I listen and starts from that. And that, that helps. I would say a lot of people don't like to be told what to do. And a lot of people like to be, like a favor. I would say more like a friend. Like I'm trying to be like a friend. Like we both teammates and we work together. So I would say like, hey, can you do me a favor? Like every time you arrive at the shipper, or about to close the trailer, can you take a picture of the load and send it over, through the Google via whatever, how we communicate and verify the load, the paperwork. Just can you do me that favor? And it works, once you get that trust, it's easier.
Well, but it takes time. As you said, you come to the company which is already has the set rules, they have their atmosphere and everything else. So it's going to be harder for you, but still, you at least have an example how I do it. And you can pick some things you like and some picks you don't like. But one time, that's what I said, even with my mission, right? I try to change trucking for better. One dispatcher at the time, one driver at the time, one broker at the time, right? One company owner at the time. It takes time. As long as what is important, communicating and telling them importance. Because like you said, were you ever explain how important it is to have the bill of ladings right away to make sure that it's no shortage, it's no damage? Probably whatever company you work with, they never had a chance to even, or they did not even know. Because let's be realistic. How many companies, trucking companies, are in a business for 10 years, 15 years, and they still not doing it the way it should be done, right?
Exactly.
Well, let's look at this now. Well, let's answer this. Do drivers dislike dispatchers? Well, tell me this, Ryan. Did you dislike your dispatchers? Did you like all of them? Did you dislike some of them as a driver? Tell me.
Yeah, I actually like my dispatchers. They were like young guys and they were like on training. So I kind of, they were like nice with me and yeah, pretty much. Okay. Yeah. I didn't have problems with that.
Now you are dispatcher. So whenever you work, do you think that you have toxic relationship, that some drivers really dislike their dispatchers, but they kind of stuck?
Yeah, there's like a reputation, like they don't get, the drivers and dispatchers, they don't get along, or the dispatchers, like drivers think that dispatchers don't know what they're doing, and I wish like dispatchers had more respect to drivers, treat them more humanly, like they have families, they need time to get home, and so there's like.
Okay, but let me stop you here because I don't agree with you just having respect only to the drivers. Don't you think it has to be mutual? I have family too. I have kids too. I don't deserve to be screamed, oh my God, why is this load so short? Or maybe why the product is not ready? Well, I should be respected as well. I think respect, loyalty, understanding, teamwork has to go both ways. This is what a healthy relationship. It's hard because we're in stressful environments, right? But still, here's a question especially for you because you started being dispatcher without really much experience. You only went to our classes. So tell, how to start dispatch job without experience. Do you really think you could have landed that first job without coming, for example, to my classes? Did you try to find dispatching job before you joined our classes?
I did try. I applied a few times, but nothing. And I went to the class, and one interview I mentioned that I'm attending, your dispatch training, and the guy was like, just when you're gonna finish, and let's chat after, and that's how it started. So
yeah, I remember you were still in a class, and you got that first resume, and you got the job. So you were a driver though. So you already had half of the site figured out, right? HOS, shipments, cargo securements, pickup, delivery. But is that enough to become dispatcher if the company is not training you inside?
It will definitely help you like understand like that, that driver, that the other side, the driver side, but it's very difficult to just like start it without any basics. So yeah, it was so much easier after the training, or even with the training, because I was already like going to like shadowing a dispatcher, and I even had like one class with you, Alex, in my company's conference room. When we did this live phone calls, try to book the loads, and yeah, it's just it's very different. Like I would say mostly dispatchers, like I don't know, when you start working for the company, like it's hard without basics. Like I was able to negotiate, and even with you, like watching the training, I was able to get this layover fee for $350 because I knew that you teach negotiation skills. And if I was just following dispatchers, they would just go with 150, which a lot of this brokers, they have like a basic fee. But I learned those negotiations. I was able to push the brokers like, hey, he's spending all night there, and the next day he's losing another opportunity. So we need to get paid better. So yeah, a lot of things helped. So
how important was to understand the market changes, right? Produce, commodity, production, even know the different states, how it's all gonna affect you, right? So can you really, because here's the question, since everyone hires with experience only, and I can tell you, not because I want to tell you that, well, my classes are so good. Well, I can tell you this, guys. After my training, some of you guys, when you go apply for the job, you already have more knowledge. Yes, you don't really have experience of sitting at the desk, but most of you have way more knowledge than some dispatchers who've been doing it for years. Do you agree with that? That's why after my class, I always tell my students, if you put the resume, don't ever put that you just finished my class right now. Because I am more than confident that 80% of my students, they can go and they can book those loads.
Yeah, and then when I started, they asked me, they start throwing those setup packages at me, thinking that I probably, just jokingly, like they thought like I probably don't know how to fill this out, and I already knew how to fill it out. They were like shocked that I already filled it out so fast. I knew exactly what documents we need. I knew what to ask for, and they were like, wow, And some questions, they were like, the dispatchers didn't even understand, because our safety department and accounting, was taken care of. So with your training, that you kind of go over like the whole thing. So that was helpful, like helping me see like a big picture of it, like how this all works. Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's answer one more question from Tamara. She's asking, do drivers change dispatchers very often? Well, from my experience, if you work as a dispatcher in a company, they assign you 5, 6 trucks, 7 trucks, 10 trucks, and usually you don't switch that often unless a toxic relationship happens, right? When you cannot work with each other, then yes, they would assign you to the different dispatchers. But when you start working with the same drivers, you build that relationship, you learn how important it is to know your driver, Ryan. If he's a night driver, if he's a day driver, if he's a responsible guy, right? Like,
I'll tell you.
Is everybody different? Is everybody different? Or do we have just here, you a CDL driver, here you have CDL, you have to do this, this, and this. Do every dispatcher does the same job, and do every driver do the same job,
Yeah, I have like a driver that is way even older than my father. He's like probably like between 67 years old, and I would assume like he likes to slip in. So like when I was booking deliveries, when I was setting up deliveries for him, I would set up for like 8 a.m., like not too early, not like 5 a.m., because I would assume without asking, and that was my mistake. I got a phone call like one day, and he was like, "Hey, Ryan, I noticed you're giving me like 9, 8 o'clock in the morning, but I'm a morning bird. I like to get up at 4 a.m. I can do like very early morning deliveries."
Okay, so knowing your driver is important. And I see that Kevin joined us. So let's see our preview for our next classes. And we're going to introduce Kevin and we're going to keep going talking about all these subjects, right?
Start the computer.
Wow. Hi, Gavin. I know that you had a hard time joining us. Welcome. Please introduce yourself. I'm going to add Ryan as well. So it's 3 of us here. Please tell us how long you've been driver. Were you a company driver? Did you work for the small carriers? Why my dispatching classes? And what are you trying to do with, I mean, you are the winner for our classes and you are a very responsible student, but tell everybody your story and help us to figure out how to avoid these toxic relationships.
Thank you, Alex. Kevin Jolin, I'm from South Louisiana. I've been in the industry for about 10 years. I was a full-time company driver with a very large carrier. And I was also a training engineer with those guys. I was an instructor for 5.5 years. And then I left that industry and went into hot shotting. So I was an owner operator driving hot shots.
For how many years?
I did that for a little over 2 years.
Okay.
So now I got diagnosed with leukemia back in March of 2020 and have been out of the driver's seat for a while, and was very fortunate to win an entry to your dispatching class, which again, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Getting a lot of great information from that class and trying to apply that with what I know on the driver side of the industry and the trucking side of the industry, and have a successful career and help as many people as I can dispatching.
So let me ask you the first question. Does it change your opinion now being on trying, because you are going to be dispatcher, you're going to be independent dispatcher, you have all the capabilities. I can see big potential already, you know, and I'm not, you know me, I'm direct. I don't sweet talk really. I sweet talk, but I am honest. So as I told Ryan before, when he called me even before class, yes, you're going to succeed. You're going to make it. We just need to improve. We need to do a few things. But now looking at some tasks, which you were asked as owner, as a company driver, even the paperwork, submitting paperwork, or maybe delivering on time. Do you look at this differently now when you're a dispatcher?
There's definitely two sides to it. As the driver, that driver is worried about getting loads. He wants his wheels rolling, so he's making money, especially as a company guy, because he's not getting paid anything unless those wheels are rolling. He's not making that much as an owner operator does. So it's very important for him to keep them rolling. And it can get frustrating sometimes dealing with a dispatcher or a manager not getting your load information to you when you want it. Because a lot of truckers are impatient. They want to get that information.
The biggest issue you had, when would you get really pissed? Because you seem like a calm guy. Do you get pissed?
No. My wife would totally disagree with you on that, Alex. I could have a very short temper. I try to control it and try to be nice, but when it does blow, it's not nice.
So give me an example as what the dispatcher had to do to really piss you off? Like when you would just like say, no, you know what? That's not going to fly. Which things the dispatchers were doing that it would make you pissed? So because you were working for the big carrier, so it's a little bit different working for the smaller carrier. So tell me what would make you pissed?
I got the perfect one for you. I was, like I said, I live in South Louisiana. So I was up in the St. Louis area, and I was scheduled for my time home to be back home to my family. And the dispatcher actually wanted me to take another trailer from St. Louis up to Chicago and then he'll work on getting me back home. And there was just no way, because I had scheduled appointments and stuff like that. And I think he wanted to argue with, and I told him, said, look, I'm more than happy to take that trailer to Chicago for you, but it will go Tuesday when I get back on the road from my weekend at home. I said, I'll take it back up there. But I needed to get home because I had things that I had scheduled. Now, one of the things that dispatchers don't see from a driver's side of point, especially in the big companies, is you're out on the road for 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks at a time. And so when you get your time at home, it is extremely valuable to you, not only to spend with your family, but you also have to take care of doctor visits and things like that that can't be just scheduled at a drop of a hat. You got to schedule these things weeks in advance. So it's important to get them home.
Okay, hold on to interrupt you. So were you giving them advice? I mean, advance, right? That here in 2 weeks I have to be home. Now, no matter what, even if you want to go to a romantic dinner with your wife, it doesn't have to be doctor's appointment. Maybe it's your birthday of your neighbor. Maybe you just want to spend the day sleeping and watching. It's your day off, right? So your dispatchers, they knew that that's your time off, right? It wasn't the last minute. You were not that driver that, oh, you woke up today and you said, well, no, today I want to go home, right?
No, it's something that, you know, especially with the big companies, you have to schedule your time in advance, at least 30 days. Your time at home, they want a 30-day notice. And you put it on your calendar, you send it in through the system, and it gets approved, and you have records that it's been approved. Now, it's never guaranteed that they're going to get you home exactly, because sometimes loads don't work out that way. And I got to say this for that company, they generally did a very good job of getting me home on time, and it kind of spoiled me for a while. So when it really came to this time that I needed to be, and they were pushing to send me up to Chicago north when I needed to go south, it ruffled some feathers and things weren't nice.
Okay, so the first thing, not getting you back on time home. Give me another example. What would piss you off?
Well, as a driver, and most experienced drivers know their equipment. For example, I was a tanker driver. I knew what my truck and trailer weighed with, empty.
Empty scale, right?
At a customer site, they loaded me up with product. I saw they went over what their measurements were. When they put me on the outbound scale, they said, oh, you're good, you're good. I told them, I said, sorry, I'm going to be overweight on my drive axles. I know my equipment. They said, nope, you're under 80,000. You're good to roll. I said, okay, I'll see you guys in a little while. So I pulled off their scales, got safely parked on the side. I called my dispatcher, explained the situation, and they're like, just run with it. And I said, no, I'm not going to just run with it. I said, I'm going to the very first CAT scale, and I know it's 26 miles away from here. I said, but you're going to have to pay me. You're going to have to route me to there. They wanted to argue with me. No, I'm not going to route you over there and give you that pay. Because remember, company drivers, it's pay per mile according to what the work order said.
Also, they need to add the 27 miles and then another 20.
They needed to add it, exactly. So they weren't wanting to dispatch that in a move. So I simply stopped right there. I said, okay, I'm popping my brakes. I'm not moving. And this is going to be a safety violation. I said, because what I'm going to do, if you make me move, I'm going to the nearest DOT scale, and I'm going to pull in the yard, and I'm going to tell them my dispatcher and the shipper sent me on the road with an overweighted load. And when I pull that safety card, they changed their tune pretty quick at that point.
Well, but it shouldn't happen, because to me, if I can clone drivers like you who are so responsible that are not gonna go overweight, I probably would so happy owner of the company. So for the new guys out there, having driver like you, that's, sounds like, oh, wow, you want to give them trouble, but that's actually, it's blessing to have responsible drivers, knowing what you're talking about. And why do you do that? First of all, you are preventing violation for the company. Secondary, well, it's going to go on your record. Third, do you want to be involved in any accident just because you're overweight? No. So, I mean, there is very lack of educating dispatchers, right? That's why, remember in a class, how long did we spend on understanding total weight 80,000, 34 on one axle, 34 on another, right? Understanding that and knowing that you should never let your driver, and you cannot push driver to go overweight, right? And here, Ryan, probably being in Chicagoland, well, how many times, Ryan, let's be honest, you as a company driver went on the road overweight, missing weight station, maybe waiting for the night? Just honestly tell me, because I know that it happened. I mean, unless you always were scaling. Just be honest, because I mean,
no, I mostly what I did was I was always looking for the the nearest scale. Sometimes I felt like I'm overweight, yeah, but I would just, it depends on the time. And, it was like North Carolina, and I knew exactly, it was like my always routes there. So yeah, I would go sometimes, but I would just go to scale and then change the tandem. So
yeah. Okay, so you were also responsible driver. Well, now tell me this: do you have drivers who refuse to go to scale? Now you're a dispatcher, right? Because Kevin is not there yet. Do you have drivers who is going to tell you, Ryan, don't worry about it, I know what I'm doing? And when you ask them, well, did you go to scale? Do you have proof?
Our drivers are actually responsible. They actually always care about the weight. It's just they don't want to go to the weight that our boss wants them to go. They just want to go to the pilot, which is further. But I guess it's better way. I mean, maybe more accurate, or I don't know. They just like that scale better. But yeah, I mean, not in this company, but yeah.
Okay, but happening.
But it can happen, yeah.
Especially in Chicagoland. I know that. I experienced that. I had owner operators who I had mandatory make sure that they do that, and they would tell me, well, I'm just an owner operator, but well, you work under my MC. This is my safety. This is my company. So unfortunately, I will be honest to you, I had to probably 2 or 3 stubborn owners, I had to say goodbye, just because they never wanted to scale. They never wanted to send me pictures of securement of the load, and they were terrible with paperwork. I give them warning, I give them few weeks, and I had to say goodbye. And people would tell me, well, Alex, why would you let owner operators go? Because, guys, you have to realize that the safety, if they're going to ruin my safety, it's going to affect me so much that it's not worth for me to have 2 or 3 irresponsible drivers. It's just not worth it. Money-wise, stress-wise, and as a company, it's not, and that it's going to be always tension, right? And I cannot work in a toxic relationship. Sometimes it's just easier to go goodbye. But let's look at this guy. Well, how many times we do get to that point where we start being ignored? Wow, you tax the driver because you need update. Let's say you cannot log in to see where he is, or he's supposed to be unloaded, but you still show him on his side. Is it easy? Is it easy when you texting, you emailing, you trying to call them, and they just got pissed? Like Kevin. Let's say Kevin got pissed at me because I did not bring him home. He still took the load, but now he is ignoring me for 2 days. He's going to Louisiana. So now you are on dispatcher side. Don't you think that this is something we both need to understand, that it's not healthy, and we do need to, yeah, we should not be bother each other all the time, but updates, loading, unloading, on time, have an issue or something. Don't you think it's important? Like,
That's
what do you think,
important.
Kevin? What do you think, Kevin?
They just turn their phones off.
What would you suggest? And you were working for, as you told me earlier today, you were working for the bigger carrier. So
Correct.
you were not really in direct contact with a dispatcher, right?
Most of the time, no, we weren't. This that particular incident I was talking about it was after hours, so I was actually speaking with a dispatcher after hours. But normally the big companies, we went through our driver managers, things like that. And so it makes it a little difficult because you got to talk to them, then they've got to relay it onto the dispatchers, and then they try to work everything out.
Okay. Well, Ryan, how easy it is for you to work with this drivers who ignore you? Do you have that happen or no? Ryan?
Yeah, but
You answered all those comments. You can do it later.
Oh no, I was just listening. I'm just drawing while I'm listening.
Okay.
It just helps me focus. So no, I mean, some drivers, I would say this one, they don't know me. We don't have established relationships. So I just work with what I got to work with, or who I have to work with, and we just go from there. But yeah, I mean, it depends. Yeah, it can be sometimes very difficult when the driver just turns their phone off, or because we have some non-responsive drivers, and it's hard because I have a good pickup for the driver, and I don't know what the status is of if it's if the trailer is even at the dock or not. So yeah.
So what we can give the advice, right? Well, we should not ignore each other. For the main things, we need to give update. We don't have to talk about weather. We don't have to talk about family stuff. You don't want to talk to me, that's fine. But here's another one. And I found this really cool picture. High-tech mind reading helmet, right? Wow. How many times speak up, I am not a mind reader, goes both ways, right? It goes to the dispatcher and it goes to the driver. Because unfortunately, I cannot read your mind, right? Especially if you are owner operator. You cannot let me do something and then you complain about it. So if you know, right? And I would give this example. If I know that, for example, Kevin does not go to East Coast, well, he should speak up to me about it, right? If I know that he cannot scale this much, or maybe some commodities he's not willing to take because he's an owner operator, you should speak up to me, right? If I know that Ryan is a company driver, but he needs to be home and he needs to be home by Friday, I should plan this, right? So speak up your mind. As a dispatcher, I also cannot, I have some favors, right? I need to make sure. So do we think that it's so important to really tell what are we looking for and what we need to do? Or should we just keep trying to make this happen and then to get to the point where it's boiling and boom, now we are screaming at each other? Kevin, what do you think? Yeah. Do you like this good high-tech mind-reading helmet? I should probably order them and give to every student after they graduate my class, because this way they can read the mind of the broker, of shipper, of dispatcher, right?
Yes, definitely. The communication, it is so key. You really need, from a dispatcher's point of view, the way I would look at it, because I was a driver, is I would want to try to build that relationship with that driver and tell them, say, look, I don't care how mad you get at me, talk to me. Tell me what I did wrong, what upsets you, and how can I try to fix it? Don't ignore me, because if I got mad at you and I did the same thing and I leave you sitting for 2 or 3 days with no load, how are you going to feel then? So it's got to make sure that that plays out both ways.
And actually, that's what happens. You know what? Instead of speaking up and trying to figure out, because as a dispatcher, believe it or not, but I do have a power to let you sit somewhere for a day or two. I can make sure that you are not going to get the load. And believe me, it's so easy to say, well, it's no loads, right? It's no really loads to go home, just because now I am, as a human, pissed at you, just because we cannot solve that problem. Same with the driver, right? You pissed at dispatcher, well, you just simply gonna ignore the phone calls, right? You just simply not gonna give updates. You simply not gonna turn on the paperwork. So who are we punishing? Are we punishing shipper? Are we punishing receiver? Are we punishing brokers? Or we punishing ourselves, right? Our company, we are the carrier, you the driver, I am a dispatcher. We punishing ourselves, and that's what we need to understand, that we are on the same side. We do different duties, we have different responsibilities, but we are on the same side. Other side, they do not care. The brokers do not care how we get there. The shippers, receivers, they don't care if they don't have product ready, because they simply do not care. Is it fair? Well, not fair, but that's what's happening, right? Let's look at another one. Plan ahead. Well, Kevin is not dispatcher yet, but he probably had his buddies who working as a truck drivers. Ryan is dispatcher. but planning ahead as a driver. You both were drivers. Is that something me as a dispatcher I can do for you every day, saying, well, Kevin, make sure you set up your alarm at 6 o'clock. Well, make sure you do this, 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 and this, right? Or
you're not going to want to do that.
right.
That driver is going to say, you're not my mama. I'll handle my business.
Okay. But how often does it happen that driver does not wake up on time, or he miscalculates his hours or something, still not telling you? Because sometimes, guys, you still drive during the night, right? So while I'm getting to work at 6, 7 o'clock, wow, we are off the track now. So now who is taking care of it? Who is now under the fire from the owner, from the broker, from the receiver? Me as a dispatcher. But is this my job to plan your route? It is my job to get you loads. It is my job to make sure that transit is possible with your HOS. But is this my job to go fuel? Is it my job to maintain your equipment? Is this my job to make sure to be your mama, Ryan, and wake you up and say goodnight to you?
Yeah, so yeah, I've seen drivers that they just completely just want to just do their own time for the route, and it would just not have loads the next day. It happens sometimes, but I think it's a communication that is missing, and
yeah, if you can build that,
driver's overworked or something.
If you can build that communication with the driver or the relationship with that driver, and you're going to let them, tell them, hey, look, if you're going to be driving through the night, I don't want to be calling you in the morning. So before you shut down for the day, for the night or whatever, send me a message and give me a status update of where you're at and what time you think you're going to be getting up, or your 10-hour break is going to be over, so I can, update our broker and let them know when it's going to be time.
Remember, Kevin, before ELDs, that was another rule I had with my drivers when we were going coast to coast, and I know that you have 2-3 days. I need to make sure before you go to sleep, I don't care if it's 2 o'clock, you don't have to call me, but text message. I am in Montana, Billings, Montana. So when I wake up in the morning or come to office, I don't have to be texting because you're still sleeping, right? But if my drivers never give me update, what happens? Well, I need to know where he is. I need to give update. Well, nowadays it's easier because we can still have the EODs, but sometimes if you're not in an office or you don't have access to EOD, you still need to understand what's going on. So this is important. Well, let's talk about this. Look at this driver, right? I was searching for this guy. Don't tell me no, right? So don't tell me no goes both ways. Well, sometimes as a company driver, you need to realize that when you sign agreement, you agreeing to doing certain things as a professional truck driver, right? Do the PTI, do the post-trip inspection, secure the load, give updates, send the paperwork on time, start detention, tell if something is not right, check the temperature, right? Do we have tension there? Like, sometimes drivers say, well, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me no. I want to do what I want to do. Do you think it's challenging sometimes, especially with the company drivers?
Yes. I'll tell you this, with every human being, you just have to know how to approach some people. Yeah, I think you're going to learn on the job. But with my cases, I just try to be respectful when I ask a driver to do something, and it make it sound like it's just, it's just part of the job. It's not like a personal favor. Unless there's a personal favor, sometimes they happen too, But yeah, you just have to be good.
Let's say now. Let's say, Ryan, you got into confrontation with the dispatchers and you cannot solve the problem. Don't you think that at that point, your management, whoever's managing the company, owner of the company, has to kind of set the rules for both of you? Don't you think that sometimes we need the third party who can say, well, you're on and you're on, and let's figure it out how to make it better, right? So this is what
luckily, luckily it didn't. Well, it's been I have for like 4 months, speaking 4 months of experience. It didn't happen to me, and but I've seen a situation where things were escalated to the boss. So if it doesn't get dispute between dispatcher and then the case goes to another dispatcher to take over, and it's still driver doesn't want, like, there's still dispute with your driver, then it goes to the boss, and then things get solved at that level,
Okay.
But,
and Ryan, don't you think that it's easier to work for the bigger mega carrier just because they do have more time for orientation, they have more rules than the smaller carriers? Because a lot of small carriers, they don't even have policies set up, what has to be done, how it has to be done, because most of them, they don't even know how to run trucking yet. Don't you think that when you go to bigger carriers, yeah, maybe you don't get paid as much, but you certainly have more rules which you need to follow?
Generally, it's going to be a lot more organized.
Right? It's going to be more organized. And why? Because you have extra personnel, people in charge of safety, people in charge of accounting, people in charge of maintenance, preventive maintenance, people who is dispatching, people who are tracking you, right? So probably it's more organized. But when you start working for yourself, have you been working under your own MC, or you went as an owner operator to some other company?
I was leased under. I was an owner operator leased under another company when I was on my own, when I went to hot shotting.
So was that different than working for the mega carrier? I believe you told me you were working for Schneider. Did that change all those kind of rule sets and some things you had to do? Did it change?
It was a big difference. But actually, it was a little more freedom. Because
you became owner operator, because you were able to say yes or no, right?
I could actually say no.
Yeah, you finally could say no, right? Without bringing up the third party, right? And involve the management. Okay. Time is money. Well, let's talk about this. Well, time is money. And in this case, especially for girls, guys, I can tell you this. A lot of guys are going to want to talk to you nonstop, because drivers is on the road, right? Especially if you're female. They're going to call you a million times. They're going to ask you. I had people who leave my company just because they said, Alex, you don't talk to me as much as my previous dispatcher, because she used to answer phone every time. 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 a.m., 5. So I am okay with chatting with my owners, if I have an issue, but if everything on track, if they have paperwork, sometimes I don't talk to my drivers for weeks, because we know I am doing my job, he's doing what. Do you think that we need to realize that as a dispatchers now, Ryan, can you be on a phone with 7 different drivers more than 2-3 minutes?
No. And that's why my boss is like constantly telling me, like, don't spend too much time on one driver, because he keeps like, calling me and, negotiate, like, just verify, like, how's the load board now? And like, and I understand, he's an owner, he wants to take care of his business, and also probably because of, maybe he didn't have enough trust before, but, it's looking good now. And,
Okay. We have a question right now. Let's look at this. So my owner operator was rejecting loads because he thought that there was cheap, because his friend who drive different type of equipment misinformed him about rates. After 2 days, he cured. Well, let's talk about you guys as the driver when you're on the road, right? When you become an owner operator, Kevin, right? And I mean, be honest, maybe you did or maybe you did not. But when you guys chat and now you owner operator, even if you're not, but you're always going to say, well, you got this load for $3,000? No way. I have the same load for $4,200. How often does it happen?
Well, you don't want to believe half of the things you hear out on the road anyway. So that's kind of not a good thing to listen to. All you can do is, as a driver, is hope you have a good enough relationship with your dispatchers and understand that they're gonna fight for you. They're gonna work hard to get you the best rate they possibly can. Yeah. And generally, in this kind of business, most of the time, there's never the same load. So therefore, they're full of BS from the beginning. So that's why you don't want to listen to them.
So Let's repeat it one more time. It's never the same load unless you have dedicated lane, right? And you have the same money, even though it depends on the season. It depends if the loads are company loads and now they're giving you more because they still need to move them. But the winter, the market goes down. Do you think they're going to give you the same money even though they're receiving the same money? It's never the same equipment, right? Because when two guys, let's say Kevin is a reefer driver right now, taking cherries from Washington, and Ryan is a drive-in guy, also taking dry load from Washington. Do you ever think that it's going to be the same rate? And Kevin's going to say, well, I took Yakima cherries right now, 12 grand. That's what the market pays right now, going to New Jersey. And Ryan driving there, drive-in. Don't you think that Ryan going to say, wow, really? I'm driving and I took 15,000. Why? Because that's what people do. That's why my rule is when people come and they want to work with me, I don't trust them. I want to see proof of the last 2 months, all the rate confirmation, rate per mile. Because now, as both of you guys know, how do we negotiate the load? If just because I am Alex, sassy dispatch girls, do you think when market goes down, I am still going to get that high spot market prices? Just because, well, I know what I'm doing. What do you think, Kevin? Do you think the broker is going to still pay me instead of 4,000, they're still going to give me 6,000? Well, they might give me 4,800 just because they're loyal to me and they know that I deliver. But if market goes down, doesn't matter who it is, it's still a business, right?
Exactly. I mean, the rates change weekly, so.
Most frustrating thing.
Well, that's why being a dispatcher, you have to make sure you know what you're doing, you know how to check the market and work under the stress, right? But still, as Kevin says, as a dispatcher, what do, Kevin? We fight for our carrier. And that's what you guys have to understand. Doesn't matter if I am a company dispatcher, if I am independent dispatcher, because if I'm independent dispatcher, the better your loads are, the better my commission is, right? Because we are all on percentage. And the better this transit goes smoother, that means the broker gonna like work with me next time. So that means my job is gonna be easier. But let's see this funny guy now. And let's make sure we guys don't get to this point. Look at this. Look at this cute guy I found. Wow. And here where's the tension gets. Wow. Guys, there is no need to scream, to call names, especially the new dispatchers, just because maybe they did some mistake or maybe they're not aware of some situation. Because, guys, it is actually big turnover in dispatchers as well as the drivers. Sometimes people stop dispatching because they cannot take this toxic relationship anymore. I wish we would not be on air, but actually, Kevin and Ryan, I will forward you voice recording from yesterday, and I can tell you what happened, not to me, but here it is. We have a driver who's picking up cherries in Yakima, right? $12,000 load. So they said you have two picks, one in Yakima on Friday night, second in Wenatchee at 8 o'clock. Good. Well, 12,000, good paying load. At 8 o'clock next day, Saturday, they said, unfortunately, it's not chilled enough. We cannot put it on your trailer because how important it is to make sure those cherries are not warm, right? So you have to wait till 12 o'clock. Well, what's happening? Driver got beyond pissed. He started calling the dispatcher and threatening her that he is leaving trailer, and that's what he did. He took trailer and left somewhere in the middle of nowhere on truck stop, disconnected the GPS, and start calling the broker and threatening them that that's it. They cannot find half of the load because it's on the truck already. Dispatcher is crying. She's begging him, please don't do this. So the broker, he's my friend. Actually, we're going to be teaching the classes together for freight brokerage. What he does, he says, well, okay, Roman, Valentina's his dispatcher. Roman, how much does it take for you to go back to still get loaded and get back to New Jersey for delivery, right? And of course, after Roman F-worded him, screamed, left the trailer, put it under duress, right? Because now it's a claim. He's telling, well, $5,000. You know what the broker does? Guys, this is just a piece of paper. He says, no problem, Roman. Here's revised rate confirmation here. Now you have load for 17,000. Well, now Roman feels like a hero, right? Because what, Ryan? He got extra $5,000. Guys, I hope he's not watching this video today because he's delivering tomorrow. What's going to happen tomorrow, Kevin, after he delivers? First of all,
see ya.
First of all, no, this company has 2 loads already with this broker, which both worth 22,000. The broker did not pay yet factoring, so they're going to be holding that money. Secondary, now they have approved that the cargo was left unattended. They have threatening messages. They have voice messages. Do you really think they're not going to start putting claim against this carrier? Here you go. Toxic relationships, right? So we, as a dispatchers and brokers, we have to understand that the load on a paper is just what? A paper. We still need to make sure we receive the money, right? And this is just, and when you guys receive that voice message, I cannot put it on the air just because too many bad words out there, but you will understand what I am talking about. So please, let's remember this. No one deserves us. As a dispatchers, as a drivers, we should still be professionals. We don't have to start calling names. We don't have to be threatening each other. And yeah, situations get hard, but you know what? Somehow we can manage to still bring equipment back to company, right? We can still be human being, and this is the worst thing which can happen. When you have a truck somewhere sitting in the middle, right? And you have no clue how to find the trailer, where is the truck, and how to deliver those goods, right?
When they abandon equipment like that, they can get terminated, and it goes on their permanent record. So it'll be hard for them to even get another job.
Yes, but as a dispatcher, don't you think that you need to learn at that point? Well, that broker is smart because he already had experience, right? So he's like, okay, 5,000, 2,000, how much? 5 would make it. Here you go. So he had to calm the situation because he's smart enough. What if we are dealing with a broker who is also young and he has that ego, right? And he starts screaming also back on the driver, right? Instead of calming him down, what do we have now? Well, we have the situation which is not easy to handle. Well, what can I tell you guys? It's been a pleasure. We know that we need to work on both sides, improving relationships with dispatchers, the drivers. But do you have any advices for new dispatchers? You are new dispatchers, but now you are, Kevin is almost there, but as a driver, any advice, like the golden advice, what do you think is going to make their start in this industry easier?
Partially a little sympathy on for the drivers, because they are the ones out there handling the load, dealing with the weather, the traffic, and the shippers and consignees. But the biggest thing, and the whole topic of today, is communicate with them. Mm-hmm. Get them to talk to you. Tell them what can I do to help you make your job easier, to make your life simpler, and we can both make more money.
Okay. Ryan, what would you give us as advice?
Just talk to your driver like your friend, and be honest and explain. Sometimes it's the miscommunications because the driver doesn't understand. Sometimes the dispatcher doesn't understand what's going on the side of pickup or delivery or whatever. So I think communicate, talk, be honest, and I think that's the beginning.
Okay. And let's see the last questions we have. Do you train for independent dispatchers? Well,
yes, she does very well.
So tell that, because guys, I cannot answer that. Well, I train for company, but I am more oriented actually in the business people who are gonna change this industry. So my goal is here. Yeah, you can start as a company dispatcher, but ultimately you're gonna be the independent dispatcher. You're gonna change those smaller carriers. So do you think that our training is preparing you for that reality, or I'm just sitting there and sweet talking to you? Like, do you think that I am really showing you what it's gonna take you? And some things are not, you want to listen. Sometimes you think, oh my God, no, it's too much. What do you think, Kevin? I mean, you have experience. You're a seasoned guy. I mean, for you, having me as a teacher, I mean, yes, it's probably challenging, right? You're a stubborn guy, but do you agree or disagree with the way sometimes I do push, and sometimes I do have to put my foot down, even in a class, like distracted, and going through different topics when I am trying to bring something. But do you think that we still have one more class? We still have those magic phone calls, right, Ryan? Those magic phone calls is gonna finally finish that circle. But do you think that you will be kind of prepared to start your own dispatching journey? Start looking for that first guy and try to dispatch him.
Yes, it's I'm picking up a lot from the class. I mean, I had a lot of knowledge on the trucking industry from a driver standpoint, owner operators, and I did dispatch myself when I was doing hot shots sometimes, so I did a little experience with load boards too. But there is so much more detail that you go through to cover of what a dispatcher needs to be, a good dispatcher needs to do to protect their drivers, and not only find them the loads like they all expect, but to protect them, to make sure they know the extra little things that they have to take care of if they're picking up for a major broker that they require XYZ. You let them know those things. And just preparing to learning the lane rates, what you've taught us using that, all the tools that come along with that power of the lane rates.
What about all those load boards, right? The new load boards for each brokers. How important is, Ryan, did you start finally using them? That you sign up for Jibihan, TQL, Coyote, XPO, C.H. Robinson, Schneider, Trinity, Chop Tank, all of them have their own load boards. Are you utilizing them or not yet?
Truck stop and DAT, mostly DAT.
Yeah, but that's not a
that's not enough, yeah, that's not enough.
You should start utilizing them. But do you think, I think we had a question there. Somebody's asking me, somebody was asking actually you. So you're working as a company dispatcher now. What do you think in future? Do you think in future you would consider going on your own?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. That's my goal, actually. I mean, it's good to get experience. It's amazing experience. But my ultimate goal is to dispatch other owner operators, and if it goes well, eventually buy a truck and start expanding my company.
So let's talk about being independent dispatcher. Both of you, do you think just now both of you have experience as drivers? You have no problem with maintenance, preventive maintenance, truck stops, routing, HOS. Now you finish my class, you're going to be able to negotiate, you're going to be able to do the paperwork. What other things you think you will need to offer your smaller carriers?
Well, in my case, I want to do like I want to kind of link to different things, let's say, provide more, let's say, take care of that business side of the,
What about that use of
TMS? Let the driver drive the truck, and I want to take care of the paperwork, factoring, insurance, IFTA, all these things.
Safety, right? Kevin, what do you think small carriers, can they afford another person who is going to take care of their safety, even their IFTA filing, even their simple paperwork, right?
It's going to be difficult, and that's some of the biggest things that I learned through your class was all of the carrier setups, what has to take place for those, and learning that I know that's going to help me provide those drivers or those small owner operators take care of their business. Because when you're an owner operator and you're running on the road, you're thinking constantly about where's my next load going to come from. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you make a pit stop, you're on that phone trying to find something, and it's just hard to do. And there's probably many that even when they're on the road, they still grab that phone and they're looking for something else, or at least they're making, hands-free phone calls, hopefully, and trying
How
to
many of them are
up
gonna be
something.
checking on you, Kevin? How many of them gonna have truck stop, which half of the load don't even exist anymore? And they're gonna say, why didn't you call this load? Well, because it doesn't exist, or because I'm not taking you to Missouri because it's nothing there tomorrow. And that's another toxic relationship between independent dispatcher and owner operator. And I always tell, and we were going to be finishing this on a last class on Saturday, if you ever want to become a pro, you have to make sure that your driver understands you're doing your job. Let me do my job. You worry about picking up on time, delivering on time, maintaining your driver. Let me worry about it. And then in the end of the week, we can adjust, we can talk. But if I have so many girls who are dispatching owner operators, and they have to call them, are you taking this load? Are you not taking this load? Are you taking this load? I mean, and then 30 minutes later, the load is gone. And he's like, oh, call that load, the one you told me. Well, it's already gone. They're wasting each other's time. Plus, dispatchers, we are trained to make our decision, right? We'd better be trained to make our decisions, because we look what's going to happen there tomorrow. What is going to be outcome? We know already your rate per mile. We know with this load, how much is it going to be? So I think to become a dispatcher who is really pro, you need to learn to make your decision. That's why I tell my drivers, you come to me, let me dispatch you for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then we sit down and we can adjust, because it doesn't take one day to get used to driver. It takes at least a month. And believe it or not, from my own experience, and that's a problem I have, after they get my dispatch, it's so hard for me to pass them to my other dispatchers, because they know, Alex, that's not you dispatching, because they get so used to not have to worry about the loads, right? Because I pre-plan, I already know the market. So after a week of stubbornness, of trying to control me and telling me what to do, then they get used to. And sometimes they even call me, Alex, 6 p.m., why don't I have the load yet? And I'm like, don't worry about it. I know where you at. Sometimes I ask, and they're like, well, it's very unusual. Usually I know already what I'm doing, right? So this is important. But I would like to say thank you for both of you. And of course, you know me, I want to make sure that both of you do a little bit extra. And because you guys took your time and you share your experience with us, and you invest in all this energy, hopefully, in changing this industry, I am awarding you for our IFTA class for free. So both of you are going to be enrolled in our IFTA class on July 17th.
Thank you.
So you need to make sure you know how to calculate IFTA. I want to make sure that your cares are going to be taken care of. And hopefully you guys going to be like my little, sassy dispatchers who are going to change this industry with me together. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys in class on Saturday, waiting for the whole homework. Ryan, I'll see you in July in IFTA. And of course, every Monday you supporting me. Thanks again.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching us, everybody who's sharing, everybody who is enrolling in class. I'm really blessed. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.